Want to speak real Greek from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at GreekPod101.com.
Hi everybody, I'm Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. Over the next 15 lessons, you'll learn everything there is to know about the reading and writing of modern Greek. By the end, you'll be able to read pretty much anything you like from a Greek book, newspaper, magazine, or website. Are you ready? Then let's start! Πάμε! Modern Greek has only one alphabet of 24 letters, so it's super easy. Once you know this in their upper and lower case and a few combinations, you will be ready to read one of the most ancient languages in the world. As you may know, the Greek writing system is written from left to right, like all Western languages. This means there is one less difficulty in learning how to write Greek. But it gets better. More than half of the Greek uppercase letters are exactly the same as English. Yes, that's right. You're already over halfway done with uppercase letters. Only 10 more to learn. So let's start with the first letter, alpha. Alpha is a vowel and also the first letter of the Greek alphabet. What sound does it make? In Greek, the name of each letter begins with its own sound. This means the sound of alpha is a, as in I am. In Greek, like English, there are always two ways to write a letter, the uppercase and the lowercase. This is the uppercase alpha. Yep, it's the same as the English A. Let's handwrite it. Alpha. And here's the lowercase alpha. This is a little different from English, but you can see the similarities, right? It is handwritten like this. Alpha. Let's do it again. Uppercase and lowercase. You can now write your first letter in Greek. Good! Let's move on. The second letter is a consonant, mi. You might have heard it called mu, but it's not how we say it in Greek. It's mi. The sound of mi is and it looks like M in English, at least in the uppercase form. It is handwritten like this. Mi. And this is the lowercase mi. It's like an English lowercase u, but with a longer line attached to its left. Not that hard, is it? It is handwritten like this. Mi. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. You now know two Greek letters. What can you do with them? By themselves, they form the word ma, which is one way to say but in Greek. For example, in the sentence "Μα δεν το ήξερα," which means but I didn't know. So you already have made the first step in making excuses in Greek. Let's write it. Ma. Another thing we can write with alpha and mi is ama, which is one way to say if, as in the expression "άμα μπορώ," which means if I can. Let's write this too. Ama. The third thing that we can do with ma is to double it, mama, which, as you might have guessed, is the first word most children all over the world learn, mother, or to be more accurate, mom. Mi, alpha, mi, alpha. Not that hard, right? Let's write it. Mama. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. Have you been writing as you watch? Hope so. There's no better way to master the Alfaveeto fast than to write the letters yourself. Another good idea is to make flashcards for each letter and study them whenever you get a chance. That's it for now. Do you know what the simplest question in Greek is? After the next lesson, you will know both what it is and how to write it. See you in the next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson. Yahara! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. In our previous lesson, we learned two letters, alpha and mi. Remember them? Good! In this lesson, we'll move on to two more letters, see how they are written, and what we can do with them. Our first letter this time is taf. It's a consonant, and its sound is t. You may have heard it called tau, which is its usual name in English. I'm sure its uppercase form will seem very familiar since it's the same as the English T. This is what taf looks like in uppercase and lowercase. Taf. Taf. Here is taf in uppercase. You should already be an expert at this shape. It is handwritten like this. Taf. And this is what the lowercase taf looks like when it's printed. I think it's easier than the lowercase t in English since it's just an uppercase T but smaller. When it is handwritten, the shape looks a little different, like this. Taf. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? I'm sure you already knew how to write this, didn't you? Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. This is a vowel that you may have heard called iota. In Greek, though, it is called yota, and it makes the sound E. Again, this will look very familiar since its appearance is the same as the English I. This is what the uppercase yota looks like. As I said before, it's exactly the same as the English I. It is handwritten like this. Yota. And this is what the lowercase yota looks like. Yota. Notice how the bottom curves slightly when it's handwritten. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. All these were pretty easy, weren't they? Let's see what we can do with them. By themselves, taf and yota spell only one word in Greek, ti. Even though it's a very small word, it's very important and used all the time in Greek because it means what. For example, the first word in the question, ti ώρα είναι, which means what time is it? Other examples of its use are τι θα φάμε or what will we eat? This word is also used in τι κάνεις, which means how are you? So let's write this very important two-letter word, τι. Since these were super easy, let's try something using all four letters we know. Do you remember the first two? They were alpha and mi, right? Let's say them once again. And if we put these two together with taf and yota, what do we have? Mati, which means eye. Easy, huh? And if we add another alpha in the end, we get matya, which is the plural of eye, eyes. Let's write this together. Matya. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. As we said in our previous lesson, the best way to master the Alfaveeto, the Greek alphabet, is by writing it as much as you can. So please don't neglect this. Another great help would be to start trying to recognize the letters you've learned so far in Greek texts. If you can't find any text, you can always check out the transcripts on GreekPod101.com's advanced audio blog lessons. Don't worry if you can't understand the words yet, you will be able to practice recognizing the letters you learn in here. That's it for this lesson. Do you know how to write OK in Greek? Check our next lesson and see for yourselves. It won't be difficult. See you in the next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson. Yahara! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. In our previous two lessons, we covered four letters, alpha, mi, taf, and yota. Have you been practicing them? Today we'll learn 2 more. After this, we will have covered a quarter of the Greek alphabet. So let's go! Our first letter this time is again a consonant, kappa. Its sound is k, and it looks like this. Here's an uppercase kappa. Yes, it's the same as the English K. It is handwritten like this, kappa. And this is what the lowercase kappa looks like. Like taf, it's easier than the lowercase English K since it's an uppercase K, but smaller. It is handwritten like this, kappa. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. This is a vowel called omicron, which makes the sound O. Again, this will look very familiar since its appearance is the same as the English O, both in uppercase and lowercase. This is what the uppercase omicron looks like, exactly the same as the English O. It is handwritten like this, omicron. And this is what the lowercase omicron looks like. Nothing to remember, right? It is handwritten like this, omicron. Let's do that again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Is there something we could do with just kappa and omicron? Not much besides the all too familiar OK. Yes, Greeks use that too, especially in internet communication. You just write the 2 letters together as you would in English, and also like English, it's better to write them in uppercase. Let's write it together, shall we? OK. OK is, well, OK. But let's try a word that uses letters from all the past lessons. Kati, which means something. For example, in the sentence θέλω να φάω κάτι, meaning I want to eat something. Let's write this word together. Κάτι. Another word also useful in everyday communication is the word κομμάτι, meaning piece, as in θέλω ένα κομμάτι πίτα. I want a piece of pie. Let's write κομμάτι using all the letters we have learned by now. Κομμάτι. As you can see, in κομμάτι, the me is doubled. This happens for grammatical reasons we explain in our language lessons on GreekPod101.com. You have been studying them too, right? So let's see all the letters we have learned so far. Alpha, mi, taf, yota, kappa, and omicron. Not that hard, are they? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You may have noticed that the letters up to this point are not that hard since variations of them appear in the English alphabet. But please remember that the small differences are important. Even though most Greeks will understand a lowercase kappa written just like a lowercase English K, the correct way to write it is with a shorter vertical line. Don't neglect this detail. It will make your Greek writing much more natural. Before I leave you, here's a question. What is the world's longest number? Everybody knows it by its Greek name, which isn't the name of a dessert. Got it? Check out our next lesson and learn what I'm talking about. See you in the next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. In the last 3 lessons, we covered 6 letters: alpha, mi, taf, yota, kappa, and omicron, which I'm sure you remember very well since they are almost identical to the English A, M, T, I, K, and O. So this time I thought we could try something a little more challenging. How about 2 letters unique to Greek in appearance? It might sound difficult, but I think you can manage. Our first letter is the consonant P. It sounds exactly the same as the English letter P, but it's written in a different way. Let's have a look at it. Here is what the uppercase P looks like. It is handwritten like this. P. And this is how the lowercase p looks like. It's almost the same as the uppercase P, but you notice that the horizontal line is a little longer. It is handwritten like this. P. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. For anyone who has done math, the lowercase p will seem immediately familiar since it's the famous impossibly long number starting with 3.14. Most English speakers call it pi, but now you know its real name is p. It comes from the first letter of the Greek word peripheria, meaning the circumference of a circle. But enough with math! You're here to learn how to write Greek, right? So let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. It's another consonant, but very important to the writing of the Greek language. In English, it's often called sigma, but in Greek, it's sigma and makes a s sound. Interestingly enough, this letter has three forms, one in uppercase and two in lowercase. It's the only letter with this peculiarity, and this happens because it is often used as a final letter in Greek, which is when you use the third shape. This is what the uppercase sigma looks like. It is handwritten like this. Sigma. And here's the lowercase sigma. It's like an omicron, but with a small line protruding to the right. It is handwritten like this. Sigma. And this is what the ending sigma looks like. It is similar to the English S, isn't it? It is handwritten like this. Sigma. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. Here's the lowercase form. And here's the ending sigma. Now let's see what we can do with the letters we have learned so far. In our first lesson, we used me and alpha to write mama, or mom, right? So how about we write the Greek word for dad? With the letters from this lesson, we have everything we need. The word is babas. Let's write it. Babas. If you notice that me and p together actually sound like b, you were right. In Greek, we don't have a separate letter for the sound b, so we form it using me and p. This is a little bit complicated, but we'll go over it in detail in the last lesson of this series, which is all about double consonants. Don't worry, if you learn the single letters, double ones won't be a problem, I promise. Is there something more simple we can write with these letters? Well, there is. Actually, something very useful. How about the word poto, meaning drink, as in πάμε για ένα ποτό, or let's go for a drink. Here it is, poto, and it's handwritten like this. Poto. Okay, you've made it through 4 lessons. Let's have a look at all the letters we have learned. Alpha, mi, taf, yota, kappa, omicron, p, and sigma. Not bad, huh? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. An alphabet has many letters, but not all letters are created equal. The letters you've learned so far are the most commonly used in Greek. So even though you only know a third of the letters, you'll be able to read a lot more than a third of Greek texts. The ending sigma, in particular, pops up a lot. Try this. Print some text from a Greek website and mark all the ending sigmas red. How many did you count in one page? Up until now, we've seen familiar letters. Are you ready for an exotic-looking one? There is a letter resembling the symbol of the legendary Greek god of the sea, Poseidon. Care to see how it looks? Check out our next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson. Yahara! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. In our previous lessons, we covered 8 letters of the Greek alphabet. Do you remember them? They were alpha, mi, taf, yota, kappa, omicron, pi, and sigma, right? Some of these letters were very familiar to English speakers, and a couple of them were new. I'm sure that you didn't have any problem remembering and writing them, so in this lesson we will learn 2 more, one very familiar and one rather exotic. Our first letter is a vowel, yota, which makes an E sound. Like I said before, the writing will look familiar, at least in the uppercase form, since it's the same as the English H. The uppercase yota is handwritten like this. Yota. And this is what the lowercase yota looks like. It kind of looks like a lowercase h, but with the vertical line shortened. It is handwritten like this. Yota. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. This character is pretty easy, since the similarities to the English H are big, aren't they? So let's step up the difficulty with our second letter, the strange-looking psi. You may have heard it in English called psi. There is no corresponding sound in English. It makes a ps sound, like P and S said at the same time. Here's the uppercase psi. It looks like the trident, the symbol of the Greek god of the sea, Poseidon, doesn't it? If you ever forget how to pronounce this letter, just remember, psi is for Poseidon and his trident. It is handwritten like this. Psi. And this is what the lowercase psi looks like. It's the same as the uppercase psi, but written lower on the line with the vertical line going below it. It is handwritten like this. Psi. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? It's not so hard, right? You just write something like a U and then add a vertical line. We now know 10 letters. That's almost half of the Greek alphabet, and the possibilities for new words increase exponentially with each new letter. Let's try our hand in 3 new words, all using the exotic psi. Let's have a look at them. The first is psito, meaning roast, as in psitokreas or roast meat. Let's write this together. Psito. Not that hard, is it? And speaking of psito, or roast, what do you need to put it in the oven? A tapsi, or pan. Let's write this one. Tapsi. Do you feel up for something a little more complicated? How about the word elegant? In Greek, this is komψos. And even though writing it isn't that hard, saying it is a little tricky, since you have to combine the m and the ps sounds. For the moment though, let's concentrate on the writing part. Komψos. One grammatical note. Komψos is masculine, so you can use it only for masculine nouns. For feminine nouns, it would be komψi, while for neutral nouns, komψo. Let's do a brief recap of everything we learned so far. We have alpha, mi, taf, yota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, and psi. Okay? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You might have noticed that this lesson's eta sounds exactly like the yota we learned in lesson 2. Why is that? Well, it has to do with the complicated history of eta. At first, it is generally believed to be pronounced like a long version of epsilon and sounded like e. After the classical period, however, its sound started to change and merged with yota, as did another letter. Trust me, you don't want me to go on. Just learn them as e, like all Greeks, and you'll be perfectly fine. So, do you want to learn how to write the name of our home planet? In this lesson, you learn how to write half of it. In our next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson, you will learn the other half. Don't miss it. Yahara! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. Great job on making it this far! After this lesson, you will have learned half of the Greek alphabet. Yes, in this lesson, we will learn our 12th letter. That is 12 out of 24. Let's do a quick review of our previous letters. They were alpha, mi, taf, yota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, and psi. Have you been practicing them? So I'm sure you have figured out their small quirks and are ready for 2 more. One very similar to English and one unique to Greek. Let's start from the exotic one. It is the consonant gamma, which makes a g sound and might be a little difficult for English speakers since it doesn't have an exact English equivalent. Most people treat it like a G, but it is softer, more like the Y sound in you or young. Here's the uppercase form of gamma. Gamma. And here's the lowercase form of gamma. This might seem a little difficult to remember since there is no similarity between the uppercase and the lowercase form, so all you can do is learn it by heart. It is handwritten like this. Gamma. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Okay, the hard part is over, so let's get to something more familiar. How about the S sound, as in the English them? In Greek, it's represented by the vowel epsilon. Here is the uppercase version. It is handwritten like this. Epsilon. And this is what the lowercase epsilon looks like. It's not that different than the uppercase epsilon, just more rounded, sort of like how you would write a backwards 3. It is handwritten like this. Epsilon. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Not that hard, was it? I mean, you already knew the uppercase from English. As for the lowercase, well, it's just a squiggly line, isn't it? Let's use something new and something old to write a short but very important word. It is yi, and it means earth. It's written using today's gamma and lesson 5's eta. Here we go. Yi. This was short, so let's write something longer, like full. In Greek, it's yamatos, and it's written like this. Yamatos. Notice though that this is the masculine form. For the feminine, you should use yamati, and for the neutral, yamato. So let's recap the first half of the Greek alphabet. Alpha, mi, taf, yota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, psi, gamma, and epsilon. These are all familiar by now, right? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. Like I said in the beginning, we have covered half of the Greek alphabet. This is no small feat, and I hope you feel proud. Even though we're still missing some important letters, the ones we have covered so far are enough to be able to read and write hundreds of Greek words, so please don't neglect your reading and practicing. Furthermore, I'd like to suggest something. Using the letters you know, try to read a Greek text and try to guess the ones you don't. It might sound strange, but it will help your Greek because it will hone your instinct for the language. Besides air, food, and water, there is something else you cannot live without. Can you guess what it is? The answer and the way to write it is in the next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson, so don't miss it. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. In the previous 6 lessons, we managed to go through half of the Greek alphabet and even managed to tackle a couple of tricky Greek-only letters like psi and gamma. Do you remember them? Let's move on with 2 more letters which will look familiar but may be a little tricky pronunciation-wise. Our first letter this time is the consonant rho. Its sound is r and is exactly like the English R. Wouldn't it be nice if the shape looked the same as the English R? Nope. Unfortunately, it looks like an English P. Close, but not close enough. You'll just have to remember to pronounce this letter as an R. Here's the uppercase rho. It is handwritten like this. Rho. And this is what the lowercase rho looks like. As you can see, there is no real difference between the uppercase and the lowercase form. It's the same shape, but the lowercase is written lower on the line, with its vertical line extending below it. It is handwritten like this. Rho. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. I would like to point out a very small detail that will make your writing of rho perfect. Because of its similarity to the English P, you might be tempted to write it in a similar way. First the line and then the circle. It is better, though, to learn to write it the correct way, as a continuing line starting from the circle and going on to the line. Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson, which, like rho, looks familiar but sounds different. Its name is he. It is also a consonant, and its sound is h. All this is wonderful, except for the part where it looks like an X. This is what the uppercase he looks like. It is handwritten like this. He. And this is what the lowercase he looks like. Again, same shape, but extending below the line. Actually, the line cuts it in half. It is handwritten like this. He. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. As you know, the only problem you might have with these letters are their similarity to other English letters. This may tempt you to write or read it that way. But there's only 3 ways to prevent this from happening. Practice, practice, practice. Since these 2 letters are both consonants, there isn't much we can do with them, so we will use some help from letters we learned in the previous lesson. Thankfully, we now have plenty of those. How about starting with something that we all use every day after air, water, and food? It's χρήματα, or money, and we write it like this. Χρήματα. This was easy. Now how about the most common Greek female name? You might have heard its Italian and Spanish version, Maria, and it's exactly the same in Greek. Maria. That will be it for this lesson. Just to make sure you haven't forgotten them, let's go through all the letters you know once again. They are alfa, mi, taf, yota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, psi, gamma, epsilon, rho, and chi. Got them all? Awesome! Now it's time for Stefania's insights. These days, with computers and cell phones, we rarely have the occasion to really write, which is all fine and dandy, but it makes us forget one of the most basic skills. So please, even if you have access to a Greek keyboard, don't neglect actually writing by hand. This is what will make you really capable of writing Greek. I guarantee that you will learn it much faster and better if you do write. So until the next lesson, practice your writing as much as you can. Did you know that there is one Greek letter whose name sounds like a part of your body? This letter also appears in the English alphabet, but with a different name. Do you want to know what it is? Check the next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson and find out. Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alfaveeto Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alfaveeto. This lesson is also a landmark. After you finish it, you will have covered more than half of this series and 2/3 of the Greek alphabet. What do you think of Greek letters now? Do they seem as hard as they did when you started? You know quite a lot by now, so a few more won't make a difference, will they? On one hand, they won't, but on the other, of course they will, since you can't really write Greek without them. The first letter today is a consonant, ni. Yes, pronounced just like the knee on your leg. Its sound in Greek is and its shape will seem very familiar. Notice something a little off? Let's first look at the uppercase ni. It is handwritten like this, ni. And this is what the lowercase ni looks like. It is handwritten like this, ni. So what do we notice? The uppercase is identical to the English N, but the lowercase looks exactly like a V. This might prove a bit tricky, but since ni is such a common letter, you'll get used to it in no time. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. And now for something completely different from English. Even though we haven't finished our lessons yet, here's the last letter of the Greek alphabet. Have you heard its name before? It's omega. The sound it makes is O. Yes, just like omicron. Here is an uppercase omega. It is handwritten like this. Or this. Omega. And this is what the lowercase omega looks like. It is handwritten like this. Omega. As you can see, there is a similarity between the uppercase omega and omicron when they're handwritten, right? Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Think of omega as a big omicron. Actually, this is what its name means. Omega, big O, while omicron means small o. Now let's see what new words we can make. So adding pi and yota, we get something we do every day. That is the verb to drink. In Greek, this is pino, and it's written this way. Pino. There is something in this word which shows why omega is one of the most important letters of the Greek language. It is the ending letter for the dictionary form of verbs. A good example is the verb έχω, to have. Let's write it together. Έχω. 16 letters down, 8 to go. Not bad, huh? Let's put them all together and see what we have. Alfa, mi, taf, yota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, psi, gamma, epsilon, rho, chi, ni, and omega. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. In our first lesson, we started with the letter alpha, and in this lesson, we learned omega. These are the first and the last letters of the Greek alphabet. In Greek, as in English, saying that something is to alpha και to omega, or the alpha and the omega, means that something is very important. That if you have this, you also have everything in between. So, the alpha and the omega of writing Greek is practice. It's a cliché, but it's true. Do you know what Greece is called in Greek? Many people might think it is, well, Greece. It isn't, and in the next lesson, we will learn how to write it. See you in the next Alfaveeto Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά!